Exiles. Today we are also taking a stab at the T17 map topic. I knew people had opinions on the matter before I made the video, but oh my goodness, everybody in the comments began discussing the topic in depth, and there are a lot of different sides that I hadn't even really considered in this matter before, and I left out one of the most controversial aspects of Tier 17 maps, the fact that it now gates that 5th map device slot that allows you to edit your maps even further with scarabs and the like. That used to be held behind the Legion 4 or 5 ways, and now you must complete one Tier 17 map to actually get that 5th slot. So I thought it would be fun to grab some of the comments that had the most hold or sway behind them to really discuss them and highlight them here, because everybody was pretty kind in the comments themselves, even to me and my spicy take, but people were heated, and they obviously have opinions on this matter that I'd like to talk about. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Merrick Nowakowski said, "Progression isn't longer, it is simply blocked from some." And that was the entire thing that I was trying to touch on in that video. It really seems like the progression path was supposed to be T16s, Pinnacles, and then T17s and Ubers. But now a lot of builds just cannot do the T17 maps. They're bricked entirely from the modifiers, not the maps, not the monsters, not the bosses, but the modifiers that are implicit. Because unlike normal Uber fights or even normal maps, these maps have modifiers, and you cannot get rid of the modifiers. You have to run them yellow. You have to Chaos Orb them to change out the modifiers, or you just have to run the modifiers that you get when you pick up the map itself from trade or off the ground. Now, a lot of people in the comments are saying, well, everyone, you shouldn't expect to be doing these T17 maps with your first character or by week 1 of the league or even week 2 of the league. These are end game progression paths that you should look forward to downing long after you begin playing your character. It might even take a second character or a third character, or you might need to make a specific build for T17 maps specifically. You might even need to make an Atlas tree specifically for T17 maps, because currently Atlas trees actually affect Tier 17 maps, unlike Valdo's maps and the like. So that means that your Atlas tree, the more that you have on it, the more modifiers, the more nodes, the harder the Tier 17s are. So it appears some people are actually just deciding to have one of their Atlas trees dedicated to Tier 17s by having literally no extra real modifiers on it. It's basically a blank Atlas passive skill tree. Now, of course, that is a strategy, and GGG does expect us to try to abuse the game in this manner and say, oh, well, actually, for Tier 17s, we're just not going to use an Atlas passive tree. But still, it is a departure from the game as it was before. This is a huge change in the endgame progression. And this wasn't the intention of grinding your games. The developers behind the game, they outright stated they saw the Tier 17s as a stepping stone to Ubers. If they were supposed to be a wall or something that we needed to make special characters for, or we needed to make special Atlas trees for to even be able to do them successfully, consistently, they probably would have said that. When Mark Roberts, the game director on Path of Exile, talked about Tier 17s, he specifically said they were a stepping stone, they were a gateway, they were a bridge, they were whatever analogy you are looking for to lead people to Ubers, to prepare them for Ubers. Because lots of people said, wow, from Pinnacles to Ubers, that is too big a leap. That's too hard. I can't do that. I'm getting smashed by the Ubers, and I can down the Pinnacles with ease, but the Ubers, oh my goodness gracious, they're so difficult. That's not what it is now, everyone. Now, people are getting smashed by the T17s, and they can down the Ubers. So it's a tricky dilemma there. And if that is the intent, if Tier 17s are supposed to be so ridiculously hard that you need to make specific builds for them, specific characters for them, then I feel like that should be communicated by the people making them. Of course, grinding your games is leaving a lot to the mystique, to the mysteriousness. You know, they want people to discover things in Path of Exile, and that is why it is such a good game. However, this design decision to block all this content off using Tier 17s, in my opinion, and seemingly in the opinion of many others, was a bad one. If we look at the 5th map device slot, that is basically lost to a large segment of the population. Even people who play SSF, especially people who play SSF, it's going to be really tough for them to get this 5th map device slot. They need to have a purple map drop, and then they need to make one that can be runnable by one of their characters. That is quite an ordeal. You can have characters that are uber boss ready pretty quickly, but tier 17 ready, well, you might need to make a whole new character or reorient your build entirely. You're going to need to have a second Atlas passive tree that doesn't even have anything on it. Heck, I just had an idea. What if they give us multiple passive skill trees for our characters, just like they did with the Atlas passive trees? Ooh, that's a future video idea. Oh my gosh, that actually sounds kind of enticing to someone like me for some reason. I don't know why, because I'm such a stickler with the orbs of regret and respecting. But anyway, that's besides the point. I think that this is a bad idea, this gating of progression. It's honestly causing lots of people to bounce from the game, as we can see right here. Mr. Shane AR said, T17 maps are the reason why I have lost interest in Path of Exile right now. And honestly, I completely understand where he's coming from. A lot of people, like myself, are single character Andes, single character dinos, I don't know. They play one character during the league, and they expect to be able to do everything in the game with that one character. Of course, they're going to invest a lot into that single character, and they're going to put all their time and passion behind it. All the divines go into this one character. I do that. I did that with Cleave of Rage, and I was able to do basically everything except the Ubers last time. And you know, sometimes that sucks, and it was a skill issue. But now, I don't know how feasible that is. Now you might not be able to put all of your time and effort into a single character during a league, a 3 or 4 month league, mind you, right? This isn't a game that doesn't reset all the time unless you're playing standard, and lots of people don't play standard. It's a game that resets every 3 or 4 months, and you can make a lot of characters, or you can make one character like I do, and I'm sure a lot of other people do, and try to clear the game in its entirety. I'm not sure if that's possible now. I'm looking at my volcanic fissure of snaking juggernaut, and I know unless I invest a ton of time and money, more than I've ever done in the history of Path of Exile before, I probably won't be able to clear tier 17s and Ubers. I can make a new build that'll accomplish just that, and I probably will because I really want to get the challenges, but a lot of other people won't, as you can see here with Mr. Shane AR. And it's causing them to bounce from the game. People that historically have been very interested in the end game of Path of Exile, have played through it, bought supporter packs, downed Ubers, are now bouncing from the game because of tier 17 maps. And that is bad. However, it's not all negative when it comes to T17s. There was a pretty lengthy comment that also had the most updates or likes on YouTube on this former video that we're talking about now. And I'm gonna read it right now. Zaka Luka said, comment made after watching less than a minute of the video. Why is it wrong to have content that many or even most players cannot do? I think it is okay to have some content that is a skill check and other content that is a build check, not just DPS, but type of damage, defense, etc. Obviously an unpopular opinion on Reddit, but it is okay to have to choose between a single generalized character that can't do everything versus more than one specialized character, where you can pull out the correct tool for the correct job. I'll probably be downvoted to hell for this take, but I don't think this is a problem. And this had 45 likes on the video, and it was the most updated comment. And what he's saying again does make sense. It's sensible. I understand where they're coming from. Okay, having multiple characters is something that a lot of people can do in PoE. Some people can't, like myself. I probably can't have a ton of characters. And in the past, though, Zakaluka and everybody else who agrees with this take, that wasn't really necessary. You could create a generalized character that could do all the content, that could do all mapping, all Ubers. You know, you'd need to make a hyper-specific character for something like Delve, or something like heisting to the extreme, but that's true in all the cases. You can make hyper specific characters that can do one thing really well, but not everything very well. And you could also invest a lot into a character and have it do everything, but not well. It was going to be okay, but not amazing. With the T17s, at least from the mods that I've seen, unless you get really good rolls and you play really well and you have a super geared character, very, very tough. Very, very tough. It's a new situation. And once again, I don't think it's a skill check at all, right? It's merely just a mod check, essentially. There's a little bit of skill in there involved with rolling the correct modifiers for your build, but it's mostly implicit in those modifiers, and that is what's bringing the challenge to your build. And it's fine that not everybody will be able to do this, but I feel like the way that they've gone about it, adding this tier of difficulty, okay, that's fine. I'm good with that. But then also gating something that people always had access to pretty easily before, that being the 5th map device slot, which helps people customize their content, which is vital, especially with the Scarab rework, is a mistake on Grinding Your Games part. And then also, and this is I think the even larger mistake, hiding a lot of items that historically have been findable in SSF, in trade, in great amounts, behind T17s because they're behind Ubers. That's a mistake too. I'm not a fan of it. Lots of these vital items, these iconic items, are now locked behind T17s and then Ubers, and T17s are harder than Uber bosses, okay? And I don't know if it's gonna stay that way. A lot of people said, oh, do not give them ideas. Don't make Uber bosses harder. That's a bad idea. We don't want to do that. This is unreachable for so many people already. Don't make it even more unreachable. Now, I'm still okay with them making it harder. Totally okay with that. But still, I don't think that they should be gating old drops that used to be pretty common behind these bosses. Make new drops, make new items, new chase items behind the Ubers, or really look at each individual item and say, okay, does this merit being behind the hardest content in the game? Okay, and honestly, all the old stuff that was in the normal Pinnacle drop pool should have stayed there, and I just should have made new items for the Uber bosses. Because oh my gosh, so many builds that rely on these items, so many people who loved using these items. I'm gonna keep going back to Void Forge. Now they're almost unattainable. You know, I could probably look on trade right now. A few days ago, there was only one Void Forge on trade. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. I can't believe that. That was my favorite weapon of all time. I loved using it on my Rage Vortex Berserker. Amazing. I wanted to make something with it. This league, I don't think I'm going to be able to. And that's going to be the same with a lot of items because of this new design system, unless something is changed. And that's ultimately why I'm making these videos. It's why I'm talking about the drama in the community, because I want to make some change and I want to bring up some positive discussion. And I really appreciate everyone in the comments being so civil, not attacking each other, not attacking me. You can call my takes bad. You can say that I'm wrong. You can say they're spicy. You can say other people are wrong. You can debate. That's healthy. That's perfectly fine. No personal attacks. We're good. Keep doing it. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm wrong about a lot of stuff, probably. I don't like respecking in Path of Exile. I don't think you should be able to skip the campaign. I think that, actually, let's save that for a different video in a different time. I still want to maintain some of you guys and have some of you please keep watching my videos. I won't do all my spicy takes today at a later date. Anyways, I think that's all that I wanted to talk about today. Maybe I'll do another one of these in the future. It really was nice to highlight some of the comments and just talk about these in greater detail with all of you. If you have more disagreements, you know where to take them. I just pointed where to take them in the comments below. If you liked this video, if you like this style of content, make sure to give the video itself a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that sub notification bell, and share it with your fellow exiles. Thank you so much for watching. Talakura, fellow exiles.